Hi everyone, so yeah, I'm Anna. I've been at Camcycle as a staff member for 7.5 years, but I'm really delighted to come and speak to you today. And one of those reasons, the individual claps that go well, one of the reasons is because I lived in Oxford for 6 years, as sort of my teenage years into university. My dad was the Methodist minister at Lime Walk Methodist Church in Headington, and no doubt preached many times in this church, so it's really kind of nice to be in this building doing a talk here. And I wonder, maybe one of my 3 children will be back here in 20 years, 30 years, kind of doing something here as well, hopefully to do with cycling. So Camcycle, oh yeah, stay on that one. Camcycle is a membership charity. We're a cycling organisation formed in 1995, so it was our 30th anniversary this year. It's really great to look back at all we've achieved over that time. We became a charity in 2010 and we employed our first member of staff in 2015. So that was my manager Roxanne, our CEO, and she celebrated her 10 years this year. And as I say, I've been there 7.5 years, and we have 6 part-time members of staff at the moment, which is really great. We have around 1,600 members supporting our work, and then we work closely with other organisations around the city and the county. We've got partners, so Ely Cycling Campaign, for example, just north of us. So today, yeah, talking about campaigns that have made an impact in Cambridge and what made them successful. And just also before that, just talk a little bit about we just renewed our strategy. I know you're looking at what your strategy might be going forward. So our strategy at the moment, we work for more cycling for a better future. And really our vision is for a thriving and sustainable region where everyone, even if they don't cycle, can enjoy the benefits of people that cycle. So we know that cycling brings benefits to individuals, their health, their well-being, but it also, you know, cleaner air, safer streets, stronger communities. Everyone can enjoy the benefits that more cycling brings. And our mission, we work to strengthen Cambridge as the UK's leading cycling city. Still number 1, but we love a bit of competition from cities like yourself and Manchester, London, lots of people, places around the UK that are doing great stuff. And also to better connect communities across Cambridgeshire through more better and safer cycling. So really like linking those villages into Cambridge through greenways. I know that's another thing that people are very interested in here, and sort of market towns and cross villages. The growth of e-bikes is really kind of enabling people to go further distances, and there's a lot of potential for growth. And this is this is the Abbey Chesterton Bridge. This links 2 communities that are quite deprived in Cambridge. And this is part of a trail called the Chisholm Trail. So we have a campaigner called Jim Chisholm who had come up with this idea for this route across Cambridge from, well, we've got a new North Cambridge station and to the main station. Going too far. So this is our celebration in 2022 when that had opened. After many years of campaigning. If we go to the next slide. You can see just how big a campaign and how long a campaign this one was. So this was 1998. Jim Chisholm first came up with this idea. He was on a train. He was kind of like looking out the window and thinking, actually, you could have a bike path along here, you know, right through the city. And, you know, this could work well. And interestingly, the bits that he thought would be easy were the bits that weren't easy. And that, I mean, from what I've heard about Botley Road, it's the things that involve Network Rail. So at the moment we have a Chisholm Trail Phase 1, which opened at the end of 2021. And that goes from Cambridge North Station and it goes across the river and it connects 2 green spaces here. We have an underpass under the road, which impressively they did in just a week because, you know, it involved inconvenience to motor traffic. So they managed to take the whole bit of road out, put it back in within a week. So it's a really nice underpass, very Dutch style. And then across to another green space here. And then when you get to the road junction here, it kind of just ends and we're waiting for the Network Rail bit. But even this bit has been really amazing, really transformational. We've seen so many people use that. It's opened up so many new journeys. And this was a picture I snapped to advertise our celebration. It was on the last slide. And just to see those, you know, that father and his daughter cycling like that, just side by side, total stress-free cycling. It's just, you know, really uplifting. So my children used to go swimming here. We live up this way. Just to be able to go swimming, like, you know, even on a dark winter's night and not have to battle with vehicle traffic. It's just, yeah, really is like a transformational route in Cambridge. So we're very proud of that Chisholm Trail, and anyone that comes to visit us, that'll be part of your cycle tour, showing you that. So that was a really long campaign over 20 years, but some of our campaigns are much shorter. So this one was one that was just a week. This was some barriers that went in. These are quite near me. Got very angry, put it on social media, like got in touch with the councillors, got one of our members who's a hand cyclist down to kind of try it out, find out what are the problems. And actually, you know, I was planning like a big sort of press campaign around that accessibility. And actually, some of the councillors were so embarrassed that had got in that we got it out within a week. So that was, yeah, really proud. Every time I cycle there, I'm like, you know, that's, yeah, definitely achieved that. But also, I think you probably have similar things here where it was like the city and the county council kind of not quite, talking to each other. So we've had a problem recently with another barrier where the city council in their council housing area have put the barrier in because of a concern, but it's like, well, it's part of a signed cycle network that is on the cycle map from the county council. Like, county council, please, can you know, communicate with them and say, you know, we need this not to be accessible to all types of cycle, to trailers and cargo bikes and everything. So still battling that one, but this one was a good one. Just a quick campaign of a week.
Anna, can I interrupt? So firstly, just to say, you said you were okay with interruptions. So
yes, and sorry, I didn't say that at the beginning, did I? I've plunged in.
That's fine. So if you have a question, do feel free, and I'm sure Anna will notice you. And my question would be, just because it's really interesting for us when we're thinking about what we might be doing next and how your campaigns come about. With this one, so the first one you said it was one of your members.
Yes.
And his idea. Was it local people to this, or did you just happen to be a local person?
This was literally me,
okay.
Yes. But we have, in our magazine, we have a magazine that we put out quarterly, so that goes to our members. It also goes out to like libraries, cafes, counsellors, students, colleges and things like that. So we have had articles in our magazine where we're talking about accessibility, and people are raising, oh, you know, this barrier here, this barrier here. We've also got a county council scheme called Local Highways Improvement, where people can work with their councillors and say, you know, sometimes it might be double yellow lining, but we have done a successful barrier campaign through that, where it's like get rid of some of the sort of pram arms and have a bollard instead. So we could do it as a big kind of, you know, right, let's all get lots of barriers out together, but actually sometimes it is just individual ones work well. And particularly if you do have, you know, if it's a disability issue, then that's Equalities Act, and, you know, that's a good way to do it. But we have, so for example, we've got one member in a village just north of Cambridge who's been trying to do a sort of village-wide scheme, but it has been, even though, you know, he's got all the right narrative, he's doing it through the parish council, there has been a lot of pushback, and these protect children from running out in the street, and, you know, the normal sort of myths and things that you often get with barriers. So it's been hard work. So often it is quicker to do individual ones, and obviously if it's part of an area, you might say, you know, it's a cycle route or part of a low traffic neighbourhood, you know, that might help to build the narrative. But yes, anybody do feel free to ask questions as we go. So yeah, as I was saying, we reworked our strategy last year. We spent a lot of time talking to our trustees, our staff. We did a member survey. Where we do like external events, we go to fetes and stuff. So we had a little survey there. I also spoke to some people that disagreed with us very strongly, just to kind of get a feel and to feed that in. One of the things one of those people said was, well, yeah, but you're too idealistic, which I thought, you know, well, that's what we're trying to do, push that Overton window, and, you know, that's okay, I'm okay with that. But out of that strategy work came 3 strategic pillars, which are really directing the work we do at the moment. So we have shape the vision. For that, you really need, the people in your organisation that are good at imagining, that can imagine the ways that things could be different, and maybe they're good at doing that through words or pictures, but, you can just see how something's not working and this is how it could be different, and really kind of bringing that to life. Then the second thing we do is empower advocates, and that's everybody at every level. So that might be the public, it might be our members, it might be really building up cycle-friendly officers within the councils or cycle-friendly counsellors, just sort of building that base of people that are going to speak up for cycling. And for that you need, your people in your organisation that are persuasive and good people and, really sort of thinking about the audiences and what different people's motivations are and how they might respond. And then the third stream is delivering solutions. And this is really about those details people in your organisations, those, maybe curb nerds, or the people that are like, no, that's not quite right, that needs to be wider. And those people often need the determination to keep doing the planning responses, or the, keep battling with the councillors or the officers, or, getting those changes in. And then even when we've done all this, and projects often move through all of these, or they might go back a bit and forward a bit, what really drives successful campaigns are those moments of change, and that is really the people in your organisation that you need for that are those people that are scanning, where's the money, what's happening in the political framework, what are Active Travel England saying their priority is, so it's schools or whatever, what can we do around schools, and you're jumping on those moments of change. I mean, COVID being like a really key one, of course. And then once we have all that in place, people are really, really important. Like, it's really hard to campaign if you're trying to do it on your own or a very small team. Just getting those advocates, the people that are going to do the work, and thinking about the audiences that you're going to persuade is really important. And so this, we've got a new mayor now at the moment, but this was our previous mayor. We invited him to our big event we did last year, a cargo carnival. He was riding one of our cargo bikes. He was becoming a really cycle advocate, and then he was voted out for another mayor, sadly. So we're sort of having to start that again with a slightly bigger challenge, I would say. That was our mayor. This one is an officer from Cambridge County Council. She's an active travel officer, and this is Josh here. We're out on the street talking about options for this really busy road, and what's happened there is the County Council put some really nice segregated cycle lanes half of the road, then it gets narrow and a bit messy with parking. They've just left it, so it just feels quite horrible when you get to that bit, and there are quite a lot of schools and things there, so it's the people at the nasty end of the road sort of really want to change. They've been exploring lots of different options, getting the officer out to actually show the issues was really important there. This is one of our AGMs, and all our members are really important in helping in our campaigns. We need lots of different skills, lots of different levels of involvement. Sometimes it's getting people just responding to a petition or a consultation. Sometimes people are more involved. We can talk a bit more about that later. And then here, this was quite a big controversial campaign. So we have a road in Cambridge, Mill Road, and at the moment it's filtered on the bridge over the railway, and that has been a very difficult campaign. It was made a temporary modal filter during COVID, then it was taken out, the council put it back in. They've had 2 judicial reviews, or two legal challenges, I should say, on that. And what we really needed at a quite tough point of the campaign, we wanted to say, there were, you probably have this in Oxford, there's certain voices that are anti-voices that are very loud. Yeah. We just wanted to say there are other voices that we're not hearing there, and so we got some children involved. We've got a group called Cambridgeshire Families for Sustainable Travel, so we got those children to a photo shoot and a bit of campaign of waiting for a safe Mill Road. And I would say actually that was a really good campaign, and it got on the front page of the paper, and it really helped us get our consultation responses. But it was also quite horrible because we had a lot of aunties like there trying to intimidate them. So sort of thinking of how to do that again, it's really hard, isn't it, when the people that you want their voices to get across are still intimidated by those loud, shouty people with the megaphones and the, very car first attitude. But this slide is really just to say like how you need lots of different people, like a lot of my work as in the campaigns team, or both Josh and me, is really kind of scanning, you know, what group can we link up with now? You know, which officer do we not have a good connection with? How can we use them? How can we connect up? Because that is really the sort of fast way to get change happening. This, so I talked this summer at the Active Travel Conference. That was up in York, and on my panel I spoke with was James Gleave, who has done some really great research on how to make friends and influence counsellors. So I really recommend looking that up. I think he's done several webinars online, and there's a report. And this is just a really interesting thing to think about, all the things that influence decision makers. So community leaders and groups like yourselves and us, officers, and then who are those officers influenced by? You've got cabinet members or fellow councillors, you know, so even if a councillor is very strongly in favour of cycling themselves, actually who are they listening to? You know, they might be swayed a bit by somebody who is less in favour of active travel. And then public opinion, you know, we've seen ourselves, the media, social media does make a big difference. So, you know, who might be the people in your organisation who can perhaps write letters to the newspaper, who can, you know, advocate for you in social media. And some of this as well, I find, things can get quite toxic on social media, but I don't know if you have used Nextdoor much here, but on Nextdoor we can often get quite a few attacks, but it's really nice to see that we have advocates in there that are sort of speaking up for us, and I don't personally, or Camcycle personally doesn't have to be fighting all those battles. Just to have those people that are out there speaking up for us really helps. And then just before you sort of decide how to develop a campaign, and it might depend how big or small it is, but a tool that we've been using recently in our campaigns team is this sort of brain decision-making tool. And I discovered this through having children. This is the sort of thing that they teach you at antenatal groups. So, you know, when you're in hospital, how are you going to decide if you want a cesarean or things like that? But it's worked really well for campaigning as well. So really considering, like, you know, what are the benefits of this option? What are the risks? You know, are there any alternatives? What's our gut feeling? What's my intuition telling me? And what would happen if we choose to do nothing? Because we really find in Cambridge there are more campaigns than we could get involved in, and some of them might be better with local individuals in their community. It might be that we don't take them on. That's where our strategy has really helped us. So we still have quite a big campaigning list of about 60 different projects, I would say, that we're kind of reviewing and working on each month. So yeah, we have to kind of be quite strict on whether things come in and out, and it might be that one of our members is particularly kind of irate about something, but actually pushing it back on just giving them a bit of advice and letting them go and do that themselves, or you know, maybe giving them a connection, telling them to go and talk to their counsellor. That might be better than us doing the campaign ourselves. This there's quite a lot of detail here, and this is a little bit old actually. I need to update this, but this is just a sort of thing, sort of theory of change that you might have heard of that, just thinking through a campaign, particularly a bigger campaign, before plunging into it. So thinking, does it go with your strategy and your sort of why of your organisation? And then number two, really key, thinking about the audiences, who you're trying to persuade. And then these are really key, thinking back from what is the impact you want to have. So therefore, what outcome do you need to have? Do you need something to be approved at a meeting? Do you need to get a certain number of signatures on a petition? So therefore, what do you need to do that? You know, how are you going to promote that petition, or what are you going to produce? And then, you know, the inputs you might have. So what time do you have, people, budget, etc. So you might want to do a big leafleting campaign, but everybody's on holiday. That's not going to work. You know, what can you do instead? And this really sort of can help you just think through a campaign, and also think through how you might measure it. So we sort of did quite a big election campaign this year and set out some metrics so we could sort of see, you know, were we successful? Did people sign up to our election manifesto? You know, did we get some meetings with councillors, things like that. So for the bigger campaigns, this is the sort of level we'd go to for those. And then now I thought I'd talk about a few campaigns. I did touch on this one earlier. So this is the Warren Road barrier removal. So the key person we influenced with this was the county chair of the Highways and Transport Committee. And the good thing about that is that we have him on WhatsApp, so very easy to contact. and he is a big active travel supporter. So, you know, tick there. What did we do? We sort of emailed, we sent photos. I had done this Facebook group post on my local Facebook group. We were prepared for more, prepared to do media, prepared to get a bit noisy. But, you know, our county chair was happy enough that, you know, this did not match what the county council were looking for on a key cycle route. And he put pressure on the city council and they were told to remove it. And the poor officers who had put it in were like, oh, we were only here last week, now we're taking it out again. But we were happy.
How do you tell the city council what to do?
I think because it's a highway, so it is actually, you know, they'd done something that wasn't on their land. They shouldn't have done it. And what had happened was actually, I think she was a county councillor for that area, had agreed with a local resident, said, oh yeah, we'll put that in. But she had gone outside her boundaries, what she, you know, so there was a process that hadn't been followed.
Sure.
Yeah. Other ones maybe not always as easy as that, which is why not all of them take a week, but yeah. Okay, this is a slightly bigger one. So this is our first Cyclox junction that we had in Cambridge. And the person we influenced here was the project manager of the scheme. So this, we have an organisation called the Greater Cambridge Partnership. And they have a pot of city deal money from the government. So several places in the UK had this city deal money to basically sort of drive growth in a sustainable way in our region. We are quite a critical friend to them. We don't agree with the ways they spend their money, but we have had some good schemes out of them. And in fact, they did end up helping to deliver that Chisholm Trail for us. So Histon Road is one of the key corridors into the city. It's a little bit of a mixed scheme. There's sort of some segregated lanes and some not. But this junction was a really key bit of it. This is probably the key part. And there'd been lots of kind of what they called local liaison forums where they talked to members of the public and sort of arguing this, that and the other for what junction should be here. And then one of our volunteers who was really sort of keyed into best practice from abroad and things, so Dutch style, he noticed that in Manchester they'd been trying this new junction called a Cyclops junction. And he basically just took this idea to the project manager of the scheme and was like, you know, I think this will work here. You know, there'd been lots of discussion of, what would work, what not, and trying to figure it out. And just by taking that idea, saying, you know, this would work, we got that first one delivered in Cambridge. And I think they'd had 3 in Manchester before, and they're really growing. I don't know quite how many there are now. No. 12, I think. Yeah. So we have two in Cambridge now. This one is slightly better than the other one because of the timing of them. So it's quite fun. You can do a full right turn in the green, which.
And has there been any feedback of how that's working, and is there any measurement about its success or otherwise? I mean,
Josh,
the corridor as a whole is monitored in 3 locations, so I think it's about a 25-30% uptick across the whole corridor. Specifically at this junction, it will have just been user feedback, thinking about it, and just observation. So, yeah, it's a slightly interesting junction in terms of it's got like a straight through, so it has like high levels of, you get good cycling green time, which is really important, and you see people using it that way.
Yeah, and I mean one of the key things is that there's a school down this road here, and you just see more people cycling to school and just feeling safe. So I went out when it had only been in for a week or two, and there was a little boy on his own just pushing the button. It would be better, in my opinion, if you didn't have to push a button, because for some people the button is not in a good position. But yeah, it's giving people confidence to do journeys that they might not have done before. So yeah.
So is driver behaviour totally controlled by lights?
Yes.
So they didn't have to. You didn't have to. I don't mean you. It wasn't necessary to train drivers how to drive through it. It's all done by traffic lights.
Yes.
It's all completely recognisable.
Okay.
Green, red, ambers.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so the problem, I don't think I've got a slide on this, but the problem that we have at our second Cyclops is it's a slightly busier in terms of traffic. So it's a lot of traffic coming in from the A14 past our science parks. It's a busier road, and so the signals team have not really programmed it to. Well, I mean, the Cyclox stands for Cycling Optimised Junction Signal. Cycle. Oh, I can't remember. Cycle Optimised yeah, can't remember. But it's supposed to prioritise people cycling, and the other one it isn't really. It's still kind of car first, and cyclists are having to wait too long, and then they're sort of saying, oh, actually I can't be bothered waiting, and they're going backwards, or you know, they're not using it. So we're not really seeing the same benefit, although there is safer space. So you know, it has worked in terms of that.
But signals team can change it.
Speed it up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been on their case for 18 months, but the people who installed it are different to the signal team, so instantly there's a miscommunication and they're not singing off the same hymn sheet. So the signal team basically wish it wasn't built. So.
Oh, okay.
Yes. This is one, I thought I'd show this one for people, you know, you might have people, skills who in communications. So this was a junction where the council wanted to put a big barrier across. Well, it had one barrier already and they wanted to put a big barrier across. So this was a Photoshop visual that I did of like showing how terrible it was. And then we kind of looked at the shape of the junction. We were like, oh, this is a bit like a pair of pants. Maybe, you know, we can use this as a little bit of a hook. And that really got a lot of kind of engagement on social media and leaflets. And so now, the people we're trying to influence are county councillors and officers. And a lot of changes have been made. It is a lot better. We're still not completely happy. They're still going to keep some of this barrier, but you know, for now, we're just going to have to fight that separately. But yes, overall, it was a win. We haven't got this horrible wooden barrier that they were going to put in. This is Mill Road, the motor filter I was talking about earlier with the children. This has been quite a massive campaign. Lots of people to influence from the public, local activists. So we set up a community group called Mill Road for People. So they've done a lot of campaigning. Officers, councillors, yeah, the whole shebang really. And a lot of things here we did a lot of vision setting. So again, if you've got people with skills in sort of Photoshop or illustration, or you know, just trying to paint the picture of what it could be like. So I did a very rough Photoshop visual here of a kind of parklet, and then we trialled a parklet during COVID. At the moment, we are campaigning for a better streetscape, and we've worked with some local architects to kind of vision that. So we do have a bus gate in place now, and we're working on the streetscape campaign. And to achieve the bus gate, like I said, it was quite a long campaign, but one of the things is just making it really easy for people to respond to consultations, having a big QR code and saying it only takes 2 minutes. And one of the things we did as well, you could scan the QR code and that popped up with automatically filled in email. All you had to do is tailor it a little bit, put your name, press send. So just thinking always of ways to make it really easy for people to join your campaign and respond.
And I have to say, when I first saw Neutro, what the hell does that mean? Is that some local thing? But I then realised, of course, it's the acronym, traffic regulation.
Traffic, yeah. So this is a bit jargony.
People understand that?
I think because it had been such a long ongoing campaign, we kind of wanted to say this is new, and you know, our audience for that were people that had already responded. They're like, what, not another one? Like we have to do this again? But we did also have some advertising which was a bit more broad, better safe for Mill Road. But this was definitely for the audience of like our members and supporters. Like, what, I've filled in like this 10 times. Is it back again? So yeah, trying to get action. Yes, definitely, very much. Yeah. And then this is the final campaign I've got here. So this is Adams Road Cycle Street. This is actually a visualisation from the Greater Cambridge Partnership. They are installing it now, and it should be ready, I think, by like summer, autumn next year. People to influence here, councillors and officers. At one point, so the Greater Cambridge Partnership are putting in busway routes, and at one point they wanted to run a busway down here. Local residents really didn't want that. It's one of the busiest cycle routes in the city, between the city centre and a lot of the university sort of areas. So yeah, we worked with them and others on a petition and a media campaign. It's taken a little while to get to the point of actually going in to be a cycle street, and there's been sort of all details around that as well, whether it's, you know, red mark or whatever. But yeah, really pleased to have that going in now. Yeah, and look forward to riding it.
Are you still allowed to drive down that road?
You will be allowed to drive, but there's a lot, so at the moment there's quite a lot of parking both sides, so I think it's probably about 2/3 of the parking is being removed.
What's to stop people driving?
So you can drive down it, but it'll just be more like driving as a guest, so like a cycle street in the Netherlands where, you know, cyclists are the priority.
Are there signs to say that?
There will be signs, yeah, I think.
Yeah, we're working on some big, there's a big sign that we're trying to get called Cars Are Guests, and we're definitely getting it into large road stickers as well. But
I just say that because we've got a Dutch pavement on our road and there's no sign to tell motorists that they're guests, so they don't behave like guests. So you have to be really clear.
Yeah. I mean, it will be interesting because in a way, all the horrible parking down both sides has meant it feels narrow. So it'll be interesting to sort of see how drivers behave. But some parking, some limited parking, yeah.
What does it connect? Adams Road, what does it connect?
So it connects near the University Library, which is towards the sort of historic centre and the colleges, and then the West Cambridge site, I think it's called Cambridge West now, which is a lot of the sort of university departments and kind of.
I recognise it now.
Yeah, and then also some of the sports facilities and things. So there's athletics track and sports hall. The other end, this end of the road. So there's a lot of student traffic, but also local people who work out that way.
If it's where I think it is, that is a huge improvement.
Well, hopefully, yeah.
Are you consistently red in Cambridge?
Yes, yeah, everything's red, yeah. That was just a reminder back to that vision, advocate, solutions and the moments of change. And then just finally, when you've had a successful campaign, don't forget to celebrate. So sometimes, sadly, our poor friends at the Greater Cambridge Partnership and some friends at the County Council, they'll have a councillor in a high-vis jacket going, yay, cycle lane. It's like, no, come on, let's get the children out, let's get the people that are actually using this and really celebrate it. So this is very local to me. Lots of my children and their friends and people from the local school, come on, let's really celebrate this and enjoy it. And then this one here, this was Mill Road. This was just to show the impact the bus gate had made. So that was really looking at the data. So our council have data on different road users and to show what a difference that had made. And that was just a little bit of analysis I did, kind of put out, and then that really got shared on WhatsApp and LinkedIn. And just again to tell that really good story that this is making a difference. And then, find out a bit more about us. That's our website. We have an annual review, magazines. We've bought several magazines with us, including one that is our sort of birthday issue. It has some of our 30 highlights. We're on lots of social channels, or you can get into contact by email. So that's, and then I've got a bonus.
Thank you so much. We wanted Anna to come to kind of give us a bit of inspiration, some ideas, some thinking about the way things work in Cambridge, which is obviously going to be different from the way that we work here. But we do need to kind of think about where we're going with Cyclox, not the Camcycle. So we thought that would be helpful. And have you got those?
I've got a few bonus slides.
Two bonus slides. So when we were talking, we went for London for a meal first. And when we were talking, I was saying, so how do you get everybody involved so that all the members feel that they're part of Camcycle and they can input and you can input and you can all talk together? And Anna said, well, we have this thing called Cyclescape.
Yes, we've got a few bonus slides. So Cyclescape is our member forum. It was developed by one of our members and it is used by other groups around the UK. So this is where kind of all the my colleague Roxanne calls it our cycling brain, really. It was sharing, there's a new consultation, or what do you think about this? So this is sort of how you log in, and then, these are some of the topics that have come up recently. And then when you sort of zoom in, so Milton Road, this other Cyclops junction, we've been asking, they have made some tweaks to the signal timings. We're asking, local people, how are you finding that? And people are sort of saying, their particular views. So then that helps us gather insight, and we can feed that back to officers at the council. And then we've got another one. And then this is a new bridge that is going in East Cambridgeshire. So this is a partnership between the County Council and the National Trust. There was a drop-in event it's quite far for us to go, and we were busy. So, but we had lots of great members in East Cambridgeshire who went along to the drop-in. They took pictures of the exhibition boards. They kind of like reported back for what was said, and that's really, really useful. And then I could then share that with our wider membership. So yeah, it's really like getting our volunteers and members to kind of do some of the work for us and to share their opinions and experiences. And finally, I thought I'd just see if you had a Cyclescape, and you do, and you're obviously not using it at the moment, but I would suggest maybe talking to some of these people here who might have used it in the past, because yeah, it's a good way of collecting issues you can use a map as well, so that people can sign up and they can say, oh, I live here, to show me all the issues and the projects that are going in here. But yes, it's a good way to interact as a community and work on campaigns together.
Thank you again.
So that's it.